Hello everyone and welcome back to the Backlog Bunker. This week, the first thing I want to talk about was an addendum to what my weekly topic was last week. A comment that I got from Trey Kifo in my comment section made me realize that maybe I was blaming a little bit too much on the youth. You can go read the comments of last video if you're interested in the whole conversation that we had, but basically the conclusion I ended up coming to for myself after the fact was, maybe, like I said, maybe I was blaming a little bit too much on the youth, because kids don't ruin fandoms, fandoms ruin fandoms. Sometimes it's because kids invade them, but a lot of the time it's just because of, bad taste, or because of, pedophiles, stuff like that. While there are a lot of kids who watch the Sonic movies and then try to become Sonic fans after that, they're not the ones who really ruin the Sonic fanbase for me. For me, it's actually the people who are older than me, that cry and whine and bitch and moan about, oh, growing up in the 2000s when Sonic get picked on all the time, oh, it was so hard being a Sonic fan. Fucking, I grew up with only bad Sonic games, because aside from Generations, which I only had the 3DS version of, I only played exclusively bad Sonic games, the ones that came out at least. I played Sonic 3, but for the most part, I exclusively played bad or at least disliked Sonic games until Sonic X Shadow Generations came out, and despite that fact, I've remained a very staunch Sonic fan. So no, it hasn't been hard, actually. I don't take back what I said last week, but TikToks themselves do not ruin fan bases. Fan bases ruin fan bases, and sometimes TikToks are a part of that. Now for what's really the only game I played this week, which originally I wasn't going to talk about any games this week, because I just hadn't really played much. Or at least not much had happened, I should say, because I really only had the topic that I was going to talk about, the addendum that I just made, and then, there's going to be no game this week. But, luckily, Final Fantasy VII came in clutch with another schizo rant about ATB. So to recap the story for you, how this went was I walked into an area, I just got done with Mount Nebel, and I'm in the Wutai area, because Yuffie was like, hey, let's go west for no reason. And so I walk into the Wutai area, I got into a battle with 4 enemies, they're these fucking bird things, right? And they all, Cloud goes first because he's the first person I'm able to choose for, and so quickly I choose Bolt All, because Cloud is my damage dealer, and he has an all spell for lightning. So yeah, just use Bolt All, right? And then, I choose melee attacks with Yuffie and Barret because, why not, right? Just save some MP for now. I come to find out, after a little bit, that they are actually lightning enemies, because they use Bolt All on me. And because Wutai is actually a fairly later area in the game, they do 300 damage per, and Yuffie only has 1,000 health, so that's a pretty big chunk of cheese. And so, I try to cast Cure All as quickly as I can with Yuffie, but unfortunately, this does not matter, because Yuffie has not even initiated the initial melee attack I told her to do 60 full seconds ago, because the birds all get to go twice before everyone else goes once, and because I got to choose these things before I ever even had to see the birds go, I had to fucking wait. I had to wait for Yuffie to use Cure All, which I chose, but I don't get to see because I have to wait. Because I have to keep waiting for these stupid fucking bars to fill up, including the enemy bars that are invisible that I can't see fill up, not that it would matter anyway, because the bars filling up while I do other shit is already stupid. That was a horrendous voice crack, but I have to leave it in to get you to understand how truly deeply I hate ATB and anyone who actually likes it. I fucking wish that Yakuza fans, I wish that Final Fantasy fans would come to my comment section like the Yakuza fans did to explain to me how ATB is good, because I just don't get it. I keep playing these goddamn ATB games, and I just don't get it. Final Fantasy V would have been my favorite Final Fantasy game if it weren't for ATB. It's just a bad fucking system for a turn-based RPG, because you cannot respond to things as they happen. It's like the worst fucking crossbreed between live combat and turn-based I've ever seen in my goddamn life. Because at least with live combat, you can respond to things instantly. At least with turn-based, you have time to plan out things. With ATB, you can't do either. And I made the same fucking point about Final Fantasy VI when I talked about that in the Backlog Bunker. Because the whole thing with that final boss was that I kept dying because I could not cure in time for anything to actually happen. Because I would choose cure, and it wouldn't actually happen until 2 full minutes later. And the thing that I regret about having played the Pixel Remaster games on my Steam Deck was that I didn't have any of my own footage, or I had my own footage, but it wasn't high quality, to be able to use in the bunker. But with Final Fantasy VII, I'm playing that on my PC, so I can actually show it this time. How it doesn't matter how quickly I choose Cure, it's just too late, because the entire battle is already predetermined. I can't fucking do anything! If Final Fantasy VII wasn't one of the most well-liked and critically acclaimed games of all time, I would have quit it 10 hours ago. But I need to finish it. I need to finish it, because if I ever get into a conversation with someone about Final Fantasy VII, I need to be able to look them in the eye and tell them why this game is awful. Because the thing that I hear all the time is, oh, you can't talk about this, you didn't beat it, or you didn't finish it, even though the problems that I have don't have to do anything with the ending. Because I need full, raw, unfiltered opinions about why ATB isn't awful. They're all gonna be wrong, but I need to hear them. But on a slightly more relaxing note, a different comment that I got on last week's bunker was from Pizza Steak, and they commented about whether a game should have simple or complex inputs. And I thought that topic was super fucking boring, because the answer to that one is it depends. If harder controls are a part of the game, then it's better to have them, and vice versa. Of course, you could argue that's a lot of game design, is it depends. But the difference here is that with game design, you can usually point out trends and say why a thing does or doesn't work or is not good. But with controls, it's just like, well, like every game controls differently, so what does it even mean to have simple or complex controls? Like, saying a game has simple controls means absolutely nothing if you have no context about the game itself. And I was originally going to leave it at that, but this gave me the idea to talk about parkour versus menus, because there are people out there, including some that I know, that just don't know the difference, or don't know what, like, the meme means. Basically, it's like this. Menus are games that are more about mechanics and strategy, rather than needing to execute well, whereas parkour is the opposite, where the emphasis is placed on execution rather than strategy. For example, XCOM is menus, Devil May Cry is parkour, Honey Pop is menus, Doom is parkour. Despite being a turn-based RPG, the Mario and Luigi games are actually parkour. There are a lot of games that exist in a cross-section between the two, like tactical shooters, but I'd say that even there, every individual game leans one way or the other. I don't think there's any game that's perfectly menus and parkour. And to at least kind of tie this back to Pizza Steak's comment, menu games will usually have simple controls, whereas parkour games will have more complex controls, and that's really about as far as it goes. And even that's not necessarily always true. And now for the weekly topic, which is about Xbox's price increases because of good old-fashioned tariffs. In a world where most game sales are digital, on a console that thrives off its digital library and Game Pass, we are seeing price increases for both games and hardware. How does that make sense? Hardware that, mind you, most people are not buying. Admittedly, the part about the games going up in price is a rumor that's going around in relation to the hardware price increases, but it's still convenient that Xbox would be so forward with the whole price increase thing only after Nintendo's been put through the ringer for their pricing, even if it's just talking about hardware. I'm not gonna outright say that Nintendo and Mario Kart opened the door for everybody else. I'm just gonna say it makes things look better for them. Them being everyone, by the way, because Nintendo will get a little less heat on them because Nintendo fans will be like, but look, over there though, the classic whataboutism. The owners of other technology will go, well, Nintendo did it first, so why is it even a problem here? Bleh. Classic, they did it first ism. And then GTA fans would be like, yeah, this game's probably worth $100. Classic consumerism. My opinion is the correct opinion on it, which is that it's all bullshit. But really the only thing I wanted to say this week was that I used to not necessarily say that I was hoping for a video game crash, because that's just a bad thing for everybody, right? But now I do hope for it, for two reasons. For one, because the gaming industry absolutely needs to reassess their priorities in, like, literally every aspect. And also because, unlike the video game crash of ye olden days, that was before when video games as an entertainment medium were, like, kind of untested. So for a while, there were just no video games because people seemed like they didn't really want them. But now that everybody knows how much people do want video games, I suspect that a crash this time wouldn't last anywhere near as long, and wouldn't be anywhere near as bad. I'm not talking about, like, government handouts to game devs, because Lord knows that would never happen. Just that I don't think it's going to become the video game Mad Max all of a sudden, you know? Make good choices with your money, and that's it. Get out of here. Claire Obscure might be awesome. I haven't played it yet, but, you know, I'm hearing good things.